Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Talk with Antonio. I'm your host, Antonio. And first and foremost, I just want to say that I want to apologize. I haven't been recording. Life gets busy, And today is July 30th, 2025. Last week was pretty shocking, And what do I mean is this? Sorry if I stay quiet, it's because it's still shocking to me. The first one was 3 deaths occurred in that same week. And it's pretty shocking, by the way that they all died. Well, the first one to die on July 20th at the age of 54 was a very well-known actor that went by the name of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. He came out in the Cosby Show as he played Theo. And he died on that day at the age of 54. He drowned in Costa Rica while taking a vacation with his family. And when I heard about his death, I was like, what the fuck? Really? It was like, wow. And 54, that's extremely shocking, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot of people from the cast from the Cosby Show came out and they gave their condolences to everybody. And also the one dude that came out finally to talk about the death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner was that dude Bill Cosby. He actually spoke about this, and right now that dude has been a recluse ever since he was released from jail. He has not come out at all, and he talked about it. This is courtesy of Entertainment Tonight. Give it a listen.
How will you remember him?
Like innocent, truthful, and he knew when to just walk away from a conversation without being rude. Malcolm did his best.
Bill Cosby speaking out in his first public statements in years, reacting to the tragic loss of Cosby Show co-star Malcolm-Jamal Warner, first with ABC News.
He was always a great studier, and I enjoyed working with him very much. He always knew his body, he always knew his lines, and he always knew where to go.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, Dad, I do.
A rep for Cosby telling E.T. getting the call that his TV son was dead at 54 after an accidental drowning was just like the call he got when his only real son, Ennis, was killed back in 1997.
I want to thank every person that prayed, every person that felt with us, every person.
Cosby, who's now 88, has been reclusive in recent years after getting out of prison in 2021 when his conviction for sexual assault was overturned. But he also made rare comments to CBS News, sharing that he and Malcolm Jamal's TV mom Felicia Rashad had connected over the loss.
We were embracing each other over the phone about a dearly beloved friend. 3 months ago, what we talked about was something he was very proud of. He had done a concert in Minnesota with the symphony, and there was something he had written, but he was very proud of what he had done and what he had said, and it was about living in America.
I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person. You know, people love you and people are always talking about, you know, your career and your success and all of that. He said, but what really makes me the most proud is that you're a good person.
According to Costa Rican authorities, Warner died as a result of asphyxia by drowning after being pulled out by a current. He was vacationing there with his daughter and wife at the time of his death.
That's like the epitome of the importance of my life. You know, my wife and my daughter.
Whose artwork is behind you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My dad, just my daughter's artwork, and then
Oh my
her artwork is all over the house.
Y'all heard that, and I'll be frank with you, ladies and gentlemen. I grew up. I was never really a fan of the Cosby Show. I was always like pretty much indifferent about it. I mean, I will say this though, it was pretty popular back when I was growing up, and I knew about him. I remember watching him appearing on an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that he actually played the boyfriend of Hillary Banks. And and then I'll never forget that episode where he played like he was always kind of a kiss ass, and I remember every time he used to do that, Will used to always go like that. And that really made me chuckle. But yeah, though, honestly though, that the way that this dude died is just sucky. But that's life, and also. The guy who played in his friend Carl Anthony Payne, the one who played Cockroach, and also did a tribute to him on social media. But it just sucks though the way he died though. 54, he was not that old. You know, I'm not saying he was young, but he was not that old. He was just like middle age, and it just sucks though. Yeah, this, you know. And now another one that happened that same week. This one was pretty fucking shocking. On July 22nd, one of the biggest legends of rock music, Ozzy Osbourne, passed away on July 22nd. I was like, what? I'm sorry, he was a heavy metal singer. I'm so sorry. I just read something wrong. I'm so sorry about that, people. So sorry about that. He was also the pioneering heavy metal band Black Sabbath, and he was pretty well known in the 1970s. And he also made Crazy Train. That's like one of his popular songs. I mean, he was huge back in the 70s. He was also known as. He adopted the title of being the Prince of Darkness. He was born John Michael Osborne on December 3rd, 1948 in Marston Green, Warwickshire, England. And he died July 22nd, 2025 at the age of 76 in Jordan's, Buckinghamshire, England. And he left 6 children, Jack and Kelly Osbourne, Amy, and they don't even mention the other children, but the ones that we all grew up knowing was Jack and Kelly Osbourne, because I remember them watching on the Osbournes back in the day on MTV. And you know what's the shocking part about him? Is about the week before. Who would ever thought that would have been his last concert? And I remember it was huge. I was watching on YouTube, and he was just doing a concert like sitting down, because we all know that he was suffering from Parkinson's disease, and he still had it. He still had it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I don't know much about his music, but I did know a few of his songs. And also, like I said, he was the co-founder and the pioneering heavy metal band Black Sabbath. And he died of Parkinson's disease. And I don't know, it's just... He says that he intended to continue to record music, but he died 17 days later. It says here that July 5th, 2025, Osbourne performed his final show at the Back to the Beginning concert in Birmingham, having announced that it would be his last due to his health issues. Although he intended to continue recording music, he died 17 days later on July 22nd. He sold 100 million albums, including his solo work and Black Sabbath releases. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Black Sabbath in 2006 and as a solo artist in 2024. He was also inducted into the UK Music Hall of Fame both solo and with Black Sabbath in 2025. He was also honored with stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on April 12, 2022 and Birmingham Walk Stars on July 7, 2007. At the 2014 MTV Europe Music Awards, he received Global Icon Award. In 2015, he received the Ivor Novello Award for Lifetime Achievement from the British Academy Songwriters and Composers and Authors. It says here that Osbourne's wife and manager Sharon founded the heavy metal touring festival Ozfest, which was held yearly from 1996 to 2010. In the early 2000s, he became a reality television star, which he appeared in the MTV reality show The Osbournes from 2002 to 2005, alongside Sharon and the two of their children, Callie and Jack Osbourne. He co-starred with some of the family in the television series Ozzy and Jack's World Detour from 2016 to 2018, as well as The Osbournes Want to Believe 2020 to 2021. And it says here, I've been watching a picture here. He was performing his final public performance with Black Sabbath at Black at the Beginning 17 days before his death. What can I say? Rest in peace, the Prince of Darkness. You gave it all. You made a lot of people happy, sir. Thank you so much. And now, this one right here, I was never a fan of him, but his death was pretty fucking shocking also. And this one involves in the world of professional wrestling. On July 24th, 2025, one of the biggest legends and most well-known wrestling figures of all time died. It was none other than the immortal Hulk Hogan. When I heard that he passed away, I'm not gonna lie, that one really was super shocking. If I thought Ozzy Osbourne's death was shocking, Hulk Hogan was way more shocking, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? Okay. As you all know, my podcast is variety, but I do focus on other things. What's going on with the political world, with this guy being the quote-unquote president. And also I talk about professional wrestling. But growing up as a professional wrestling fan, we all knew people said there's other names. There's many names for professional wrestling, but the one that comes to mind is Hulk Hogan. He's the reason why professional wrestling is what it is today. Yeah, sure, there's going to be other people, people are going to say that Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler of all time. He put wrestling on the map. Okay. Ric Flair might have put wrestling per se elsewhere in the South, but in terms of worldwide, who made it more popular? Vince McMahon, when he chose Hulk Hogan to be the next star in that aspect, because he did work for Vince McMahon Sr., but Vince McMahon Sr. fired him because he appeared in a Rocky movie, because according to Vince McMahon Sr., he did not want professional wrestlers to appear in movies. It's because he appeared in Rocky 3 as Thunder Lips. And because of that, Vince McMahon Sr. fired him. But before, once Vince McMahon Sr. passed away, Vince McMahon Jr. took over. And what's the first thing he did? He hired back Hulk Hogan. And I will talk about more about him, but I'm just giving the first details of how he became popular. The Iron Sheik beat Bob Backlund for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And then the following year, January 24th, 1984, that's where Hulkamania was born. He beat the Iron Sheik, and he became champion, and he became the wrestling figure that defined what's back then the World Wrestling Federation, because that's what it was called before later on it became WWE, WWF at that time. He put the WWF on the map. He made it as big as it is today. Even though I don't agree, I was never a fan of him growing up, because when I started watching wrestling in September 1992, Hogan was already out, because he was already out. He came back in 1993 as what they say as a cup of coffee per se, and then he sat out for the remainder of his contract. And the following year, 1994, he went to WCW, and so. But we all know I'm not going to get into too much about his controversies. I will be talking about that for a future episode. But in terms of what happened to him, there was always stories going around, because we all know, as if you're a professional wrestler, there's always risks. You're risking you put your body on the line, basically. It's like Kurt Angle said. He went into pro wrestling, put his body on the line, because yes, everyone says that wrestling is fake. It is. The fight is fake, but the injuries are real, because you get a lot of neck injuries, back injuries, knee injuries, etc. Wrestling is very real in that aspect. Like, the punches are fake, and all the action, but in the terms of the injuries or the bumps, certain bumps that you take, that's not real. That's not fake. That's very real, ladies and gentlemen. And Hogan, I know for a fact that he had many back surgeries. He had many surgeries in his neck. And I remember hearing this year, I remember watching on social media, specifically Twitter, there was always like strong rumors that Hogan was not doing well. But people always start rumors just because they just want to just stir up shit. But there was always people were debunking the rumors, saying that no, he's doing okay. All the stuff that you see on the internet is not real. And Jimmy Hart, hours before Hogan passed away, or I'm sorry, Hogan died. I'm sorry, I'm going to be more blunt now. When I remember hearing that Jimmy Hart came out on social media saying that Hulk was doing better than ever. He's alert. He's doing fine. Hours later, 24 hours later, the news broke that Hulk Hogan died. And when I heard that when he died, I was like, what the fuck? And the cause of death was of cardiac arrest, because they say that it was because due to a surgery that he had, and that's what causes cardiac arrest. And not gonna lie, I have a figure that I was given by my girl, and that right there is right here. I just sit down and it's right in front of me. It's a badass figure, even though it was not. Just a gift is everything. But growing up, I was always indifferent about it. I was more of a Bret the Hitman Hart, Razor Ramon, other wrestlers that were not bulked up. I would say I was more a fan of the Ultimate Warrior than Hulk Hogan. But in terms of, if you want to talk about Warrior, that guy was also. I think they were both. He and Hogan were like two peas in a pod, honestly, because they were both fucking cuckoo and everything. But yeah, what can I say about Hulk Hogan? Gorilla Monsoon said this once upon a time. They broke the mold when they made this man. There will never be another Hulkster from this day on. It's true. people have tried to, like, I would say the closest one, but I would say not even close in terms of popularity. John Cena, and I'm definitely not a fan of him. I've disliked that guy from day one. But in terms of popularity, Hulk Hogan was bigger than wrestling back in the day. And I'm sorry, it's just like whenever I'm looking at the figure right now here in front of me, and I see that he's no longer alive. But yes, a lot of people say let's remember the good times that he had. But he had his own issues because a lot of people, especially the fans of this era, are not Hulk Hogan fans. But in terms of like the Generation X and even like the millennials were fans of Hulk Hogan. But I wasn't a fan of him. But like I said, I'm just talking about him. And these other two people who passed away the same week. It was a crazy week per se. There's nothing else to say about it. Other than that, it's a shame, you know. I'm sorry if I just like stop. It's because it's just shocking, you know. One day they're alive, the next day they're dead. You know. So that about wraps up for this. This was this week's episode for this week's podcast. The following for this week, I will be talking about. I'm going to dedicate an entire episode for Hulk Hogan because that's what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm sorry if I'm going to say this, but I'm going to talk about everything, what he did, his good things and the bad things, what he did for pro wrestling, what he did for back then the WWF and WCW, and even like in the later years of the WWE. I will be talking about I will be dedicating an entire episode for Hulk Hogan. I will, ladies and gentlemen. So to end this episode, to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, to Ozzy Osbourne, to Hulk Hogan, rest in peace, y'all.